Hey, Gen Next viewers. This is Generation Next from the blog Generation Next. Many of you who watch my channel are doll fanatics, and more than likely, many of you all are older and are collectors. So I think you guys should be able to handle this topic, maybe. If you're a Bratz fan, what some of you may notice is that the Bratz dolls look far cheaper than they did in the past. In fact, all dolls seem to be getting more and more expensive, or seem to be around the same price as they were in the past, but are looking cheaper and cheaper. Either the dolls look like knockoffs of their original designs with poor quality plastic, hair, and clothing, or they come with less accessories than they used to in the past. In my video, Bratz comeback is a mess. Rock Angels, First Edition dolls, Talking Bratz, etc. I made a comment essentially stating that if any of you pay the current price for $24.99 for the cheaper 20th anniversary First Edition re-release of the Bratz dolls, instead of paying the hefty prices on the secondary market, you get what you pay for. Meaning you are paying a cheap price for a cheaper looking doll. One commenter did point out, you said the 20th anniversary Bratz dolls look cheap, so you get what you pay for, but you're forgetting the first release Bratz dolls were that price too. There's no way in hell I'm going to buy a $1,000 Felicia on eBay when I could get her as Holiday Felicia for an affordable price. It's absolutely insane how much people price these dolls. And that's when I realized how little I talked about inflation in that video, in my articles, and in general, beyond a brief mention. Now, anyone heavily invested in the doll industry for the last 5, 10, or even 20 years knows that the doll industry has been on decline. And there are many factors that have gone into this. But one key factor that I think many doll collectors forget, overlook, or possibly aren't aware of is inflation. Inflation plays a role in why your dolls, while looking cheaper, are set at the same price higher quality dolls were set at 20 years ago. According to Google's dictionary, inflation in economics is a general increase in prices and a fall in the purchasing value of money. According to Investopedia, inflation is the decline of purchasing power of a given currency over time. A quantitative estimate of the rate at which the decline in purchasing power occurs can be reflected in the increase of an average price level of a basket of selected goods and services in an economy over some period of time. The rise in the general level of prices, often expressed as a percentage, means that a unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods. Basically, this means that our currency, particularly the US dollar, since MGA Entertainment is primarily based in the USA, doesn't hold that same purchasing power it once did. Now we need more dollars to equal the value of the same things we purchased for less in the past. Now that I think about it, this is really a global thing. What causes inflation? Well, Economics Help lists 5 main causes. 1, demand pull inflation. And I hope I'm getting this right, but from what I read, it seems to be an economic situation that occurs when the demand for goods and services is more than the supply of goods or services. So basically, it's a situation when we all ask for more and more stuff, and the companies can't give us all we want as fast as we want it. When this happens, companies will respond by increasing the prices. 2, there's cost push inflation. This is when overall prices increase due to increases in the cost of wages and raw materials. When our jobs start thinking about paying us more, the company has to earn more to pay everybody. Companies will then increase the prices for products to get more out of it. When the price to buy raw materials, some of those products like rubber or plastic, increases, all the other things that rely on those products or materials like dolls have to increase their prices too. This means that people who make stuff won't be able to afford as many of those materials like they used to, and so will only buy smaller and smaller amounts of the high quality materials or the cheaper materials, just so they can make stuff. 3, there's devaluation. This is when a country's government intentionally reduces the value of its currency. For example, this means the government can announce that 20 units of its currency would be equal to $1 American dollar. That currency would end up being half as expensive to the US, but the US's currency would be twice as expensive in the country that reduced the value of their currency. So this will result in an increase in the cost of imported goods or foreign goods, while also boosting domestic demand or having more people buy from stores in their own country. So basically stuff in their country would be cheaper, whereas stuff coming from out of their country would be more expensive. And this basically protects companies within a nation from foreign competition. That's basically what that does. Then there's rising wages. Higher wages increase firm costs and increase consumers' disposable income, so they can end up spending more. Again, the more money the workers ask for, the more the company has to pay out. In order to meet these demands, they have to increase the prices of the stuff they produce or make. Also, when consumers have more disposable income, they have more money to throw away. So a company might respond by raising prices since people can better afford to buy stuff. 5, there's expectations of inflation. High inflation expectations causes workers to demand wage increases, and it causes firms to push up prices. When people believe the cost of living will increase, they will put pressure on companies to increase their wages. And that means the company will increase the products. Now, you may see signs of inflation around you personally. For instance, in 1970, the price for gasoline in the USA was on average 36 cents in US dollars. In 2015, the price for the same quality gasoline was $2.45. In 2021, for the month of October alone, gasoline prices on average were around $3.38. This is US dollars we're talking about. It's typically no secret that a dollar or $1 US now would get you less than it would have 100 years ago. Typically, $1 US could get you 10 boxes of cereal 100 years ago. Today, the price for 10 boxes of cereal can range anywhere from 24 US dollars to 50 US dollars. In our most recent times, inflation has mostly been caused by the pan crisis. The pan either put people out of work or cut their hours last year to comply with social distancing. Unfortunately, this meant that there weren't enough hands on deck to supply everybody's needs. People who wanted ice cream or needed their haircut now had to wait longer or had to go without because there weren't enough people to meet that demand, and there weren't enough goods. So companies then responded by raising the prices of the products and services they already had to make up for it. To add, consumers would go to anyone who could meet the demand, causing those people supplying that hard to get service or product to see currency in their future. The result is that they pulled up the prices, seeing that they could get more out of this hard to get service or product than they would have before the pan. Cargo trucks and trains had to cut down as well, and these are the people bringing the supplies to stores. Items became more rare as a result, so companies were at a loss. They had to raise the prices of the goods they already had to make up for it. Then, because items were so rare, people were willing to spend more for less just to have the item they needed or wanted. This happened with toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and surgical masks. This could potentially be a gold mine for a seller, so why wouldn't they increase the prices while it's hot? But the higher prices conflicted with people's actual wages because they weren't making enough to meet these high prices. This is actually causing them to put pressure on companies to pay them higher salaries. And companies are willing to do it. Along with trying to meet demand, companies are trying to entice people to come work for them so that people can help with supplying labor in a more demanding society. But people need more money now, right? This means the companies need to offer more money to appeal to people, which means they have to increase the prices of their goods in order to make enough money to pay people their desired salaries. Now, what does all this gibberish have to do with dolls? Right now, the cost to make dolls has gone up way high. It has already risen the last 10 years, but now it's ridiculous how much it costs to design one single doll. Think about what goes into making a doll. Fabric of many kinds, plastic, paint, and hair. I can't even begin to list just exactly all that goes into the design work. This doesn't include paying for the designers, sculptors, stylists, producers, marketers, developers, vendors, and others brought on board to actually help with the dolls. This also doesn't include operating a building and or warehouse, including paying for utilities, keeping lights on, and paying custodians to keep buildings clean. They have to pay license fees too. And now some of y'all want a series in video games? The company has to pay for all of that. including for the tools and people involved with that. The price of all of that has gone up. The people that MGA Entertainment is buying from today are charging more for their materials and services than they did in 2001. In MGA Entertainment's case, the company behind the Bratz, let's tack on the fact people are scared off from working for this company. Again, please watch the video. Bratz comeback is a mess if you don't understand what I'm talking about. MGA has to entice people with high wages in order to keep workers, so they have to price their dolls much higher than they would have in the past. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get inflation makes things more expensive, but the dolls aren't more expensive. They're the same price. If you look at the price of the dolls at Walmart and Target, they didn't increase their prices. The first edition dolls are the same price they were in 2001. What are you talking about? With the 20th anniversary dolls, MGA has skillfully managed to fool us fans into thinking that we are paying for the same doll at the same price it was 20 years ago. Yet all of you fans can see the quality difference, correct? This is because you really aren't paying the same price, quote, for the same doll. How so, you might wonder? Today, the first edition 20th anniversary dolls are going for $24.99 US dollars. $24.99. Hypothetically, let's say the original dolls were listed at $24.99. The 2001 Bratz dolls, the initial ones. I say hypothetically because I can't find the original listings I saved a while back. Let's look at an inflation calculator to find out the difference. If a doll cost $24.99 US dollars, $24.99 in 2001, and if a company were to adjust for inflation today, given today's prices for the same quality materials the dolls had back then, the doll should actually be, drum roll please, $39.05. $39.05 US dollars in 2021. However, your dolls are the 2021 price of $24.99, $24.99 US dollars. Back in 2001, that would be equivalent to, drum roll please, $15.99. $15.99 US dollars. In a nutshell, MGA Entertainment is selling you a cheaper doll for a cheaper price. And this is why I said anyone who is buying these cheap ass dolls are essentially getting what they pay for. The dolls from the 2000s that were even remotely close to that price, adjusted for inflation, if we're thinking about inflation or before inflation, but the dolls that were even remotely close to that price were the 2009 basic Bratz that came with nothing but rehashed fashion, with even the fashion itself being lower quality. Back then, it was understandable considering MGA was in a major court battle and the court ordered the removal of all Bratz from toy shelves. Nowadays, the real problem is MGA was not prepared for this comeback and really had no interest in investing in Bratz, which was why they weren't prepared to create high-quality dolls adjusted for inflation. They didn't care to give fans what they deserve. I mentioned more about MGA's lack of interest in Bratz in the Bratz comeback video. If the company really wanted to bring the old Bratz dolls back full force, they would have made sure the dolls were on par years ago, right after the Hayden Williams dolls were released in 2018. Instead, they waited until the end of 2020 to ask fans what they wanted, dipped into their pool from the successes of LOL Surprise and Rainbow High, and threw some dolls together with the materials they could afford to hurry up and gather. It's understandable why they can't just pour their all into the Bratz brand. Besides Bratz, they are essentially balancing two other brands at the moment, unlike in 2001, when Bratz was their only doll brand and their primary meal ticket. Right now, most of their money is going to the more immediately profitable brands. Still, that doesn't mean they could have at least tried, knowing the Bratz anniversary dolls have been in demand since 2018. Fans are largely frustrated with the secondary market, markets like eBay that have priced older dolls at ridiculous prices, also not truly adjusted for inflation. The doll collecting game can be an expensive road if you want the best. However, the dolls aren't worth that much. There's an excellent video on YouTube that talks about the secondary market regarding the Bratz dolls by Darling Dolls. Unfortunately, this is causing many Bratz fans to settle for less, even if they aren't getting the best quality. Specifically when it comes to the repros, MGA used nostalgia bait because they know people are now buying for the brand, not the quality of the product. They're buying cheaper dolls just to have something with the Bratz name on it, just to have the same label as first edition or Rock Angels as it did in the past. There are two types of consumers of Bratz nowadays. People who grew up with Bratz, who never got their wish for a doll and want a trip down memory lane, and those who revolve their content around Bratz and other toys. And when I say content, I mean specifically like YouTube videos or social media platforms. MGA knows they only have to appeal to these types of people a little bit to get these dolls to sell out, and they don't really have to invest anymore. There are people who will buy a Chanel purse that's falling apart just to have Chanel. They pay money to see a horrible Marvel movie just because it's a Marvel movie. As a result, the companies never improve because they know they don't have to appease anybody in order to make a profit. Back in the past, when the Bratz was a lesser known brand and was building, they had to put more effort in order to build brand loyalty. They've got the loyalty and brand power now, so what effort do they need to put in? Unfortunately, a company has one too many options. They can choose to invest majorly, despite knowing they don't have to, or they can cut costs for their more reputable brands and give fans only half of what they had 20 years ago. It seems MGA has chosen the latter. If MGA Entertainment were paying attention, and if they actually really cared to give Bratz a new boost with a strong reboot, they would have realized just how dissatisfied fans have been with the secondary market, and they would have tried to re-release these dolls with the same quality, with prices adjusted for inflation to compete with that market. Ultimately, those second market sellers would have no choice but to come down to lower prices or risk not being able to sell the doll due to the main company releasing it with the same quality. Even better if the dolls came with something extra special. Unfortunately, I know if the dolls were properly adjusted for inflation, the average fan would still believe they were being cheated when actually they would be getting the same, if not a better, deal. Many fans obviously find the price of $24.99 US more approachable than the price of approximately $39.05. The price it probably should be. Not really understanding inflation, if the company increased the price of the doll from what it was 20 years ago to the proper price adjusted for inflation, fans would immediately believe the company is ripping them off just because it looks higher on paper. In actuality, this would be the better price for a reproduced doll with the same quality as 20 years ago. In order to get the dolls to the more approachable price of $24.99 US at this point, MGA technically had to cheapen the dolls. Some fans, not understanding this, may have complained about the quality, asking for the dolls to be fixed, while still insisting they will only pay the low price of $24.99, the way it was years ago. Let's be honest, it's really not completely possible to have nice dolls at that price point from a company not prepared to invest or prepared to adjust for inflation. It also doesn't help that they're marketing the Bratz to a few thousand adult fans either, as I mentioned in my previous video. That makes it difficult for them to go for the perfect price range. With only a few thousand adult fan collectors left, they only have two options. They could lower the prices, making the dolls accessible to more fans, selling a large quantity of cheaper dolls in one go, or they can raise the prices so they get more out of a small number or smaller quantity of higher quality dolls than they normally would, which would all be used to cover expenses and line pockets. To be honest, they won't be able to guarantee the largest return with either method, though, not as long as they're marketing to adult fans, even if they were to adjust for inflation. They would have to market to millions of kids the way they did in the past in order to reap the same mega rewards they once did, like what is happening with Rainbow High and LOL Surprise. Rainbow High and LOL Surprise can be a cheaper price with decent quality because they are banking on millions of kids buying it and giving them a major return on that investment. While essentially being on toy shelves with all the other dolls, the Bratz repros are mostly being marketed in adult spaces, not where kids are allowed to frequent. Overall, though, I still think MGA should think of recreating or creating a solid investment plan at all for the Bratz brand so that the quality improves. Then they should consider pricing the dolls fairly adjusted for inflation. The Bratz still may not be like the glory days where they came out with tons of lines, but it's better to have fewer high quality lines than a bunch of crap Bratz dolls. Quality over quantity. Today, I wanted to review the newest Bratz dolls from head to toe. I will probably do this for the repros of the first edition Bratz and Rock Angels Bratz some other time. Right now, I'm more interested in the newest dolls. let's get down to reviewing Felicia. To those who are not a part of an off-brand fan community, Felicia's holiday doll was released without people's knowledge. In fact, shockingly enough, they announced her arrival on Instagram after she sold out. Make that make sense. Unfortunately and ironically, most of us fans will not be getting her in time for the Christmas holiday. Maybe we'll get her in time for Easter. Some people's Felicia doll has yet to be shipped, and some people are fearing a cancellation altogether. Actually, it's not so shocking at all that this is happening if you watch my former video on this Bratz comeback, though. This is basically how the new Bratz dolls are being announced and reproduced nowadays. Everything is just being produced and released in a messy fashion. Those on social media are trying hard to play it off and keep up, saying Bratz fans are amazing when referring to how Felicia sold out so fast the social media team couldn't keep up. I don't understand how they couldn't when the Insta threads were crawling with fans asking when Felicia would be announced for about 2 months now. There's seriously a communication issue going on here. And, I'm not going to get too much more into it because I already spoke about it in the comeback video. Anyway, when it comes to Felicia's doll, many in the fan community have mixed feelings about her. I have to say I also have mixed feelings regarding this doll. Let's just start with Felicia's head. First off, y'all know how I feel about the darker skin dolls having pink lips. The jigaboo lips, I called them in Bratz 2018. Please don't. I'm not fond of the peach pink lips too much. Tack on the fact that I feel Felicia's makeup is underwhelming in general, even down to the eye makeup. To get some perspective, Lookin' Bratz gave a review of the doll and informed us as to why the faces are looking the way they are. Apparently, back in the day, the faces were painted using a spray method, which I heard isn't much in use anymore. Nowadays, UV printing is used instead, and it's considered the more cost-effective method to apply dolls' faces. Now that we're on the subject of cost-effective after talking about inflation. Anyway, apparently spraying is less common in the doll industry today. Also, the Bratz have new head molds created to accommodate these new printing methods, which makes them look even stranger to me. On top of that, again, as I mentioned in the comeback video, they have the matte plastic. That's what they're using. And for me, I don't like any of it. Unfortunately, the change in production shows this might be a trend in the toy industry and might be what they're using nowadays, but that's probably part of the reason the doll industry is on decline. Who wants to pay for dolls with these cheap looking faces and heads? I mean, they're probably good enough for parents with kids if that's who they were catering to, which they aren't anymore. And maybe these cost cutting materials and methods allow them to be cheaper at a time when money is tighter. Because of the cost it takes to make high quality dolls nowadays, many companies have to cut costs, and that includes the materials it takes to make high quality dolls, as we've been talking about. What I noticed though is that the bigger a company, the more people they have to pay, the more brands they have to juggle, the more people they have to produce for, resulting in them cutting costs. Isn't it, as Alanis Morissette would say, ironic? While I understand that times change, I can't say it makes me happy or satisfied. I don't think I will be satisfied until they have that old-fashioned, higher quality look I loved back in the day. I realize now that I was spoiled. I wish I had the money to get every Bratz doll ever invented back then, because I just don't think I will even buy any reproduced dolls that look like this. And this isn't even a reproduced doll. This is a new doll. Despite the usual trend nowadays, again, I believe that MGA Entertainment had enough time to launch this brand the way fans wanted, or at least had enough time to try. Couldn't MGA Entertainment have invested enough money to hire someone to utilize that method, at least for one throwback line in time for the Bratz 20th? We never needed thousands of lines for this 20th year anniversary. We only needed one special line, one that brought us back to the 2000s, possibly one playset, and then tons of merchandise like t-shirts and makeup. The other lines could have come later. At least one of the repros or newer dolls could have had the sprayed look. Maybe there are no more artists out there who can use that method. Possibly they don't want to work for these companies anymore. I don't know. But if they are out there, I think it would have been worth the investment, at least for one line. I really liked Fantasy Carter's photos of her. Their touch up gives me that sultry, attitudinal, dramatic Bratz look that I'm dying to have. That's what Felicia deserves. I think it's important to note that to us black fans, it deeply matters how Felicia looks and is received. It's no secret that the black dolls are the least sold by retailers and the least bought by consumers, which says a lot about how people see black people in general. We're not just talking about in the Western world, but over in the East too. Living in a Bratz world, the international distribution of NGA's Bratz dolls also outlined how Sasha basically didn't debut in one whole country because distributors stated she wouldn't do well there. Gee, I wonder why not. Because of that overall dislike of darker skinned dolls, black dolls have to look better than average in order to sell well. It's especially important for Felicia to look good to the people she's representing, the people who will more than likely buy her most. To me, personally, I just find her face to be underwhelming. She's missing that glam factor. However, if people love the face and buy her, it's still a win for the black community. If she does sell well, maybe more black dolls will be released. Who knows? Still, for me, it wouldn't make much difference because new black dolls will be created at this time, a time where companies are cutting costs to make cheaper dolls. I really wouldn't be getting the black doll I feel I deserve. I wouldn't be getting the one that I really want. I'm just getting an uglier one than what I could have potentially gotten back in the 2000s, which doesn't make me happy or satisfied. On a positive note, I do love the natural wavy haired highlighted look that Felicia is sporting though. She also has bantu knots. They are using nylon for the hair instead of saran. Nylon is actually stronger than saran and easier to curl. It's easier to style and it comes in more colors. To some people, saran feels more natural and has a nice shine to it, but it's more fragile. Personally, I feel that nylon is a good substitute. No, it's not the same type as they had in the early 2000s, but it works when trying to give Felicia a more voluptuous volume to her hair. I think nylon works for black dolls. I'm glad they're finally giving the black dolls black hairstyles. They need to keep that same energy in the future. Now let's talk about the body. And this is kind of funny and kind of sad, but I think I basically predicted Felicia would arrive in Trinity's outfit and my Bratz comeback is the best video, didn't I? Yeah, I did. This is an example of what I meant when I said MGA Entertainment is not investing in Bratz too much. The outfit Felicia is wearing wasn't designed. It was replicated. They took Trinity's design, dyed it yellow, and fluffed it up a bit. Like I said back in October, no company jumps from designing one doll to another that quickly unless they really don't care about the outcome. I wish she had been designed with her own special dress. This is subpar to me. But I have to give it to them. At least they dyed the dress yellow, cut the top off from the bottom to make it look like she has a crop top and a skirt, and added a shag. Maybe they watched my video and were like, damn, someone's on to us. We have to change this up quick. I think that was the case because her peachy pink lips looked like it was designed to fit a pink dress and not like a yellow gold one. So in any case, I'm glad it looks like they put effort into giving us something that looks sort of new in comparison to the repros, which didn't do it for me because those dolls were inferior to their originals. Still, it's unfortunate that at this point, I'm mostly like, instead of, wow. I can't even make an interjection full of excitement and emotion. Yeah. It doesn't help that Trinity's dress was never considered the best of the holiday dresses, especially because most people felt the pink color was more suited to spring and didn't have the same quality as holiday dresses prior to even it. I guess if you live in a warm climate, you can wear bright colors any day. For us living in the middle of blizzards, I can't relate. I think a holiday color should have been used. It would have related to more people, red and green to represent Christmas, blue and white to represent the frosty snow, and or darker evening colors to represent the changing darker season. I mean, look at Katya's. Back in the day, some real design effort went into her look. She is by far my favorite holiday doll. Once a ball, Chloe was pretty too and perfect for the holidays, or for what most people would associate with the holidays. Now, I won't lie, Felicia looks beautiful in yellow. It's really her color and it has her melanin popping. Still, it could have been designed with more inspiration, and it should have had a deeper golden feeling to it to give it an evening vibe. One of my viewers suggested Felicia arrive in a green dress, and I think that would have been ideal for the season. Green and gold would have looked beautiful on Felicia. I just feel like with all the Bratz nowadays, and like the Bratz in 2010, the dolls are being rushed and cheapened to meet demand. You know, and I hope the dress is even made with strong quality materials. Like, is it even of a good material? That would be another problem. Now, Felicia's fashion passion is layering different looks so she can change it up anytime. I do feel that this look fits her fashion passion. The fact that she comes with a shag that is removable, has a detachable top that can go with another pair of bottoms, and a skirt that can go with any top, fits with Felicia's resourceful sense of style. Felicia is also glam gecko, so she loves to look a little glamorous at times. I feel like if her eyes had more of a gloss to it and her dress had a more unique design, she'd be even more glamorous. But this will do. I would definitely say this is better than the repros, but that's only because there has never been a holiday Felicia to make a comparison. Honestly, MGA Entertainment should just stick to making new dolls, because when they try to reproduce the old dolls, people can obviously see the difference in quality. Unless they plan on reproducing all the old dolls the same way they made them, people are bound to be dissatisfied. They can make cheaper looking new dolls and get away with it. People will just be happy to see Bratz dolls in new fashions. So, next I want to talk about Felicia's accessories. Felicia's purse is a recycled item that is being released in yellow gold. She also comes with a bracelet for fans, the one item coming from MGA CEO's daughter's fashion brand, Cold Gaia, a doll stand, and a star brush. All pretty standard, but not too interesting to me. Let's talk about the feet. The shoes are okay. I actually almost forgot to even review them, which means they aren't very memorable. Honestly, they feel like recycled shoes. It would be the first time Bratz recycled their shoes, though. They're alright. They do have a Bratz vibe to them and look comfortable enough for this outdoorsy Bratz girl. I'll give them a pass. Overall, people might dislike my content just for railing on Felicia just because she's a black Bratz doll. That's fine. For me, I honestly don't want a half-assed attempt at representation anymore. I would like people to take more time and effort pouring the same love and care into the black dolls that they have poured into dolls that are white passing or racially ambiguous for years. Perhaps I'm too idealistic and should expect less, but that's my desire. Unfortunately, her ratings on Target are 2.2 out of 5 stars. That's not good. At this point, I don't think this is a win for Felicia or the black community. Even worse, that she's going for $54.99 US dollars, which could essentially like overturn everything I just said about inflation, because that is more than a price that should be adjusted for inflation, and yet this doll is not living up to par and living up to standards. So I don't know what's going on at MGA Entertainment really, and why they're using cost cutting methods but charging the doll this expensive. I don't understand. Then again, I don't understand. I don't understand. You know, they literally are pricing her higher than she's worth, all because she's not a reproduced doll, and because they know that's the only way they can get a return from a doll that's directed towards a few thousand adult Bratz fans. At the very least, they could have thrown in another cheap outfit for that price. For me, the head gets a B minus, body B minus, accessories B minus, feet B minus. Overall, she gets a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. I'm a bit more interested in the GCDS dolls than all the other dolls that have been released. So first, I'll review Yasmin. Let's talk about Yasmin's head. By itself, Yasmin's face looks okay to me. Her head looks bigger than usual, and I don't know if that's to accommodate the UV printing or if that has something to do with the design of the outfit. I'm still not a fan of the UV printing method, but I like her makeup print well enough. I like the colors. I feel like Yasmin adapts best to the UV printing method of all the dolls. Let's talk about Yasmin's body. I personally think Yasmin's outfit is okay, even if it does make her head look bigger than usual and has gimmicky Bratz print on it. Still, I don't think it's public friendly. You know, everyday people wouldn't wear this, and that's what Bratz needs right now. They need to be sporting the latest fashion styles in at least one of their new lines. I feel like the lines are either rehashing old fashioned or are so out there that they can only be seen on a runway. They aren't ready to wear fashions. I think that Yasmin's outfit speaks to a handful of adult fans who enjoy gaudy looks, which is why they sold out. But if these dolls were being sold to a general audience, they wouldn't do as well, I don't think. On the other hand, this is one of the best outfits we've seen on a Bratz doll in a while. At least someone put effort into actually designing it. The quality of the materials actually looks good, and it appears to stay true to Yasmin's fashion passion. Yasmin loves bohemian fashions with exotic prints and often blends different styles together to make one graceful, glam look. This outfit has quite a bohemian feeling to it, especially the ballooning and flared sleeves. Still, I can't say I've fallen in love with it. I've heard that Hayden Williams' 2018 bodies were used for these dolls, which means they can fit 2018 fashions possibly. I was fine with those bodies, to be honest, so it's all good to me. But they didn't have the same articulation that newer dolls are sporting. From what I hear, like they're not they weren't extraordinarily articulated, but who cares? I mean, I like the bodies; they're fine with me. But I just don't like the fashion that I'm seeing. Let's talk about Yasmin's accessories. Now, one of the best parts of this release are the accessories. I would like to buy them for just the accessories alone. Unfortunately, they were going for the hefty price of $85 and are sold out. So poor Black gender fluid people like me can't compete. But if they ever do become available again, which at this point I doubt, I would like to get my hands on Yasmin's sunglasses and purse. I absolutely love the designs. I like the earrings and Bratz chain belt as well. I feel like these were very well crafted and very thoughtful, because I can see these kinds of items. I can see Bratz fans wanting these kinds of items themselves, and seeing Yasmin sport them it's just a great addition to this line, I think. Yasmin's feet, another one of my favorite parts. Actually, my favorite part. Yasmin's shoes are very well designed and very stylish. I would personally buy these shoes if they were made available in my size. The artsy print, the studs along the toe, and the side buckle are very nice touches. I absolutely love the heel construction as well. It gives it a very realistic feeling. These are some very well-made shoes. Now let's talk about Sasha. I'm actually liking Sasha's head this time around a little bit more. I hate that her lips have been reported to have misprinting, meaning there's some quality control issues floating around. Ugh. Overall, though, I think she looks decent. The baby hairs are an interesting touch. I personally would rather utilize her own hair to give her baby hairs, but like with Felicia, I'm happy that Sasha's finally wearing black hairstyles. The braids look flawless. I love that. Again, this is saying it in the context of them still using the UV printing and this new plastic, which I'm not a fan of. So the bar is low. Let's talk about Sasha's body. I'm not the biggest fan of Sasha's outfit either. Again, I do appreciate outrageous fashion. I just don't think it's wearable. I do like the mesh bits, but I don't understand the rhinestone portion on top or the Bratz Cruella de Vil coat over it. There's more mix and match potential for Sasha's than for Yasmin's, though, so I don't have to settle with just this look, and that's what makes this great. And I do, that does bring up another point. I do want to point out that there's only one outfit coming in this package, and I'm kind of hoping for some new dolls to have mix and match potential with two outfits, you know. I do feel this outfit fits with Sasha's fashion passion, which combines old school and new school hip hop styles. Sasha loves avant-garde fashion as of 2008, or was it 2007? I think this is 2008. And she's always on the hunt for a new look. I would say this fits quite well with her style. These types of outrageous, individualistic fashion looks are very popular with hip hop right now, and it's definitely out of the box. Definitely. Sasha's accessories. Let's talk about that. I love Sasha's accessories. The gold hoop Bratz earrings and the gold heart purse are just fabulous. I want. They are very well constructed and detailed. Let's talk about Sasha's feet. Just like with Yasmin, Sasha's foot game is strong. I love the GCDS boots so much. The fact that these look like shoes people can actually buy from the store adds so much more quality to this item. And you can tell that there's a lot of craftsmanship. It's really selling the product. So, overall, I think this is probably the best we will get for this year. The best part is that they didn't include Chloe and especially Jade, who absolutely is the queen of extreme and outrageous fashion. Like, that was a missed opportunity. I want to point out again, though, how this is another collaboration project, not a line solely produced by MJ Entertainment. This is mostly how the best of the Bratz products are being produced. And if you look at the matching price point of 85 US bucks, you understand how selling high quality designer dolls to adult fans like this results in the heftier prices. The best shouldn't have to come from a collaborator, from a designer doll, from a doll that expensive. Yet that's what is keeping Bratz afloat because MGA didn't invest enough in time to meet demand. So overall, I'd say with the GCDS dolls, the head game is a B. The body is a B minus, the accessories A, and the shoes A plus. Overall, I think they get anywhere between like a 3.8 and a 4 out of 5 for me. I think they're okay. Just to do some housekeeping, apparently Talking Bratz came back with that scrapped episode starring Jade, Sasha, and the Tweevils. Unfortunately, it didn't update us on the girls' lives and was mostly a promotional tool for that Bratz app game I don't care to play. They can't seem to get storylines right on social media, so I'm quite sure the game storyline is more than likely all over the place as well. I was also upset that they weren't wearing new outfits like Chloe and Yasmin were, and they had like these weird like doll lines on their shoulders, which was weird. It seemed like the quality was different. Then again, it was nice to see the CGI animated first edition outfits, which we've never seen before. Well, maybe briefly on like Instagram, but we've never really seen that like in a live before. I was recently told by a Bratz fan that the individual who creates Talking Bratz is 16 years old. And if that's the case, I say that's pretty amazing for a 16-year-old to be able to take on this major project at such a young age. However, that's also concerning because this is probably why we aren't getting regular Talking Bratz releases. Because a 16-year-old is potentially, I'm not saying they are, but potentially juggling school with work, producing a series for fans. And I feel like fans are like, I want more episodes. I want more and more episodes. They want this to be like the Bratz TV series. But I don't think a 16-year-old can spearhead the same kind of production that's required to create a series like of what we've seen in the 2000s. It's at the very minimum, it would be a huge project to take on for a 16-year-old. So I don't know how I feel about the route they've chosen to go when it comes to producing this series. Because to me, I feel like that's a lot to put on a 16-year-old. This is allegedly though, because I heard this from someone on TikTok. But this is allegedly. And so I would say that if this is the case, MGA needs to hire some assistants for this 16-year-old so that they are able to consistently produce for Talking Bratz, since that's what's in demand. I mean, not that they have to, but I feel like this stop and start motion with the Talking Bratz series leaves a lot of fans confused. And that's just from my observation right now. Anyway, moving from that, aside from there being that scrapped episode, there was also a segment interviewing the designer of the GCDS dolls. It was cute. Felicia's outfit looks better than what they put on the actual dolls. Like, why wasn't that outfit released? It's actually wearable. That's why they're selling it to fans on their website. Anything you wish to sell to the public should be on the Bratz dolls, because you know people will actually wear it. This will motivate fans to buy the dolls more and make them long for replicas. That's the fun of it, you know? Everybody wants to dress like a Bratz doll. So make the Bratz look the way we want to dress. That's how I always look at Bratz when I think about Bratz, of how to design for Bratz. Moving along, stepping aside from Talking Bratz for a minute, there have been leaks of sweetheart Meygan. I'm tempted to buy her and reunite her with her girlfriend Nevra, but I'm scared of what she'll look like, as I was with Felicia. So far, I've not been wrong about these releases, and that's what worries me. She's due to be released March 22nd, 2022. Unfortunately, she will not be around in time for Valentine's Day, so she'll be as late as my videos are half the time. So, oh well. But we'll see how she looks. I doubt she'll have the sprayed face, so she'll probably look a little different. So, whatever. We'll see. Finally, I want to share with you all that Carter Bryant, the original creator of Bratz, has fallen ill. He's recovering, but he needs assistance with his hospital bills. His sister has asked for our help so he can recover. As you all who follow me and listen to me know, Carter Bryant was let go from MGA Entertainment around 2013 and 2014. He is not getting paid any royalties for these dolls, though he was the genius behind the whole concept. In fact, he's the original creator of the Bratz. I've mentioned before that this is how LGBTQ people are often treated. We're used up for all of our genius and ideas and then thrown away by companies. In fact, I would say this is the thing that happens to all minority groups, really. And the law doesn't support us either. Unfortunately, the doll industry hasn't been kind to Carter. And as I covered in my last project, working for MGA Entertainment is like a scarlet letter for a lot of the workers. So if any of you can help him in any way, please do so. To end this, I just want to say that I hope next year is a better year for Bratz. I'm scared to get my hopes up too high because much of the damage is done. Still, I hope that they turn something around for the better, at least with the dolls. And I hope that justice is served in Carter Bryant's favor, because I think at the very minimum, MGA Entertainment should at least be trying to help pay his medical bills. and I'll leave it there. Anyway, what other factors do you all think contribute to the cheapness of these dolls or the decline of the doll industry? What do you all think of Felicia, the new designer dolls, and sweetheart Meygan, the Talking Bratz? The Bratz whole comeback as of now. Leave me a comment if you're able, and let's get the discussion rolling. In the meantime, ciao. Peace.